This has been a crazy adventure, and to have you here with us today just makes me a little emotional and excited to have people we love and who supported us through this entire process. So thank you for being. If you're here, you have inspired us, kept us moving. And I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to just start talking from the heart. When we speak of Mettle, we've labeled it as the ability to face challenges in a spirited and determined way. This is a trait we aspire to obtain as adults and to maintain as adults, and it's a trait we want to teach and instill in our youth, in our community. As a facility, Mettle will enhance the athleticism, skill, and mental toughness of its NAMPA athletes, not only with those that train here, but throughout the town. You hear the statement that a rising tide lifts all ships, raises all ships, and that's the goal. It doesn't have to happen here, but we want it to start here. We love this town. We've been here. I grew up here. My dad and mom grew up here. It's a special, special place to us, and we feel and have noticed a lack of opportunity, and that's what we're trying to provide. One of the things we're trying to provide here. I want to share with you just kind of the process of getting here, so bear with me. About 6 years ago, my daughters went to Columbia, entered Columbia in high school here, and they entered a dance team that was struggling. And if you haven't ever been involved in dance, it's a sport to our family. It's an intense sport, and they work harder than I think anybody out there. Maybe the wrestlers get them, but what happened was they had two coaches, Jackie and Andrea. Jackie Markham and Andrea Williams-Rhodes came along, and they changed the culture of the dance program there. And these girls got up every morning for 4 years, 5 o'clock. And not just for 3 months or 2 months, it was 9 months. It was the entire school year. I couldn't take it because I had to get up with them. And it wore me down. But to see my daughters be raised by these two women through athletics gave me a different perspective. At the exact same time, I watched Columbia basketball and football boys go winless for 3 years consecutively. And the girls basketball team came right along after that and did the exact same thing, went winless for 3 years. And I watched Nampa High struggle, and I watched Skyview struggle now as they go 5A, and it breaks my heart because Nampa, we don't need to win state championships, but we need to have some pride, and we need to change a culture here. And I saw it happen in the dance. I see it happen occasionally when a great athlete comes along, but it needs to be consistent, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. We've got great coaches, we've got great administration, we have a town that struggles in some way or fashion with this, and we're trying to help. And we think opportunity in this environment will support that. When that happened, when I saw those high school teams struggling, I knew my boys were coming up next. And my girls had had a fantastic experience, and I wanted a fantastic experience for my boys. So I set up a little basketball club team. I thought, I'm going to get some of their friends, we're going to work. We're going to work hard for several years. And we started digging in, and we put a couple good hard years in. That's when we came across Walt and Shay Colley from Crash the Boards. And they taught me a little bit about how to get into their tournaments that they were running, and we started to compete, and we were horrible. And we got better. We got to the point where we could beat Nampa teams and Middleton teams, and an occasional Boise team. But overall, the 80 county schools would just pummel us. And there was one specific incident where we were playing a game, I believe it was at Nampa Christian, and my boys were beaten physically, skill-wise, and beaten emotionally. And then they kind of had to rub it in their face, and I broke down. And for a couple days, I was very emotional. And I felt like I had let my boys down. I promised them they'd work hard, that things would shape up for them, and it didn't. And I wanted to quit. I didn't want to go through that anymore. I didn't want to lie to my kids. So that began a soul-searching process where Betsy and I started sitting down and looking around saying, what's the difference? How come our kids just consistently don't compete with other kids around the state? It's driving us crazy. And like I said, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. Our coaches and our teachers, I love them. I mean, they're so great. But I think they're at a disadvantage. I know they're at a disadvantage. And so we started to look around and we start to discover that over in different counties in the state, there are more gyms. Their schools have more. Our school has has 2 courts. Some of the high schools have 4 courts. They have community courts that are available to them. You just looked at the court numbers and just had a significant advantage, as well as speed and agility centers, which we did not know existed. So my kids, even if their skill had been up to par, they were outmatched physically by good kids that were working hard and earning in other parts of the state, but we weren't doing that here. So we looked and we decided we wanted to put in a speed and agility center, Betsy and I did. And the minute we decided that, we went over to Brian and Megan Blackler's house. We said, Brian, I know you, Brian and Megan, we know you're into fitness. We know you're great with kids. We want a part of this. And 3 years ago, they said yes. And they thought that would be 6 months later, and so did we. But we're here now. We appreciate you coming along for the ride for that. We needed to do a speed and agility center that was going to work, that was going to be scientifically proven, and it was not going to be us looking on YouTube or reading stuff on the internet. So we shopped around different franchises that exist, and we found a worldwide franchise that's been around for 30 years, heavily utilized on the East Coast, and we brought it here to Nampa. It's Parisi Speed School, which will work on speed, strength, and agility for our kids. And that's the model we'll use so that we're successful, and we can guarantee our kids that they're going to have a positive and successful experience. As I was trying to orchestrate this, and Betsy and I were trying to put this together, my brother Troy, who's the family attorney and gets stuck with everything. He's always having to do stuff. And Carlin, bless her heart, let him spend hours on the phone with me. And we started, as he's helping me put this together, and he says at some point in time, he might have noticed I was in over my head. He said, Clint, you want some help with this? You want a partner? I said, oh my goodness, yes, that's great. So Troy jumps in and starts to help me out. And we start looking at the speed school, and we couldn't find the space to work. I started talking to my good friend, Ryan Van Alphen, and he says, Clint, he was heavily into volleyball at the time. He says, you need to incorporate this with volleyball or basketball to make this work. And so I listened to his advice, and I met with the group for a while. I got really excited, thought we were going to put this whole project together, and then it melted down on a Thursday night, and I melted down on a Friday night, or on a Friday morning. And then something came to me. I thought, you know what, we need to call Walton Shea from 2 or 3 years ago, who showed me how to put together a club team and see if they want to run their club tournaments out of our facility. And they were on board. And so that's when things really started to take off. Now, Walton Shea run Crash the Boards tournament, which hosts between 50 and over 100 teams a weekend. And they run 2 to 4 weekends a month when things get hot. So that's going to be 30 to 35 tournaments a year they're going to put on in this facility and in other facilities, hopefully in Nampa, if they can consider. Everything is COVID aside, right? COVID's going to change a lot of this, but once we get through that, that's what we're going to see. And they are becoming probably the premier and the most popular tournament in the West as they bring these teams. Teams are coming from all the surrounding states, as far down as California and up to Washington and Seattle. They're coming to our town, they're coming to Nampa, and they're giving our kids competition. And that's a special thing. We're grateful for them in that effort. Next page. As we move this along, we decided we needed a builder, so we reached out to, let me back up. I've got a good friend here today, Robert Davenport. He's from Utah. He was on my basketball team in high school. We were good friends. We were pretty good players, but we needed a point guard. And so I called back to our friend Blake Wolf from high school. He was our point guard. He's a builder in town here. And Blake, we started the conversation. We started meeting with different people and looking around town for locations. And he's never built anything this big, and I never built anything at all. So we reached out to our good friend Lance Thewison, who was amazing, took some time and helped us find our facility, our property to work with here. We met with Gene Ulmer, our architect. He helped us put the building together. As we got further down the road, I came across price tag. It was not what I had estimated prior, obviously, right? It was maybe 50% more, which was very discouraging. That was when I was going to walk away at that point in time. I couldn't put my family at that risk, I didn't feel like. And so I talked to Troy about it, and he mentioned, why don't you involve the other two brothers? Let's take the heat off of all of us. And so, next thing you know, we're on the phone, and Brett and Marcy, out in Connecticut, they are never going to live in Nampa again. But they are so proud of Nampa. They are always excited to see Nampans succeed. I hear that from them all the time, and they love this town. They love the kids here. So they were quick to jump on. So grateful. Their son McCall provided us our logo and our marketing, and I gotta jump back, I forgot. And Troy's son, Grant, has provided our internet and website access. So it's just, the family's coming together to make this happen. So it's such a special thing, so we appreciate them. Appreciate Troy and Carlin. And then I had Kim here in town. Kim and Cherie's family have been, they've been the hands on the deck here, because Troy lives out of town, Brett lives out of town. And so they've been down here screwing things in the walls with us late at night, cleaning backboards. We took the lifts to the ceiling with little kids, which we probably shouldn't have. Shooting baskets from really high. So they physically they've been a support, and then Kim emotionally has been a huge support for me as he's here. And I get nervous. I have to go to big, important meetings that I'm not used to doing. I don't handle myself well in those situations. I get a little emotional, or whatever. And Kim would sit beside me, kind of hold my hand, and coach me and mentor me as we had these types of meetings. And I appreciate that so much, Kim. Thank you. And that led into where are we gonna get our financing? I had my partners. We had a plan, and we went and started to meet with different banks in town. And I will tell you, and you'll notice that CapEd is here with us today. We met with many banks, and they were good to us. All the banks were great. But there was something amazingly special when we sat down with Casey the first time. And he just looked me in the eyes and said, Klint, this is a project. I want this. I want to be a part of this. I know what this can do. Casey's kids are athletes. He's lived what I was explaining to you earlier with his own kids. And he took it up the chain at CapEd, and over again we've found and felt supported all the way to the CEO. And it gave us confidence that the project would work, and made us feel secure that they would look after us when we needed help, and they have done that. So we thank every one of them, and I won't name them all because I'll forget somebody. We appreciate and love them. So we started to get ready to dig, but Troy said, you guys need to sit down with the mayor and let her know what you're doing. This is a different kind of project. So we did. We went in and sat down with Mayor Klint, and she was so gracious, and she said, I will do whatever I can to help this project along. I see the value in this. And from what I understand from politics in the past, I thought, okay, that's sweet. Is that really going to be the case? And I will tell you 100%, I'll put my hand on the Bible, she backed us up the entire way. And we are so grateful for her and what she's done. If you just give her I know she doesn't want to hear that, and she's busy, business as usual for her, but it was not business as usual for us. It made all the difference. We're grateful for that. This building process is drama. I don't know if I can ever do it again. There's some excitement, but there's a lot of pain. And I spent nights not sleeping the last few weeks or so, the same thing. But I had to reach out to friends that have done this over and over again. And so Jason Cotter and Ryan Van Alphen from the Athlos Academy in Boise, they've done these sorts of things over and over. That's their living. And I sat down with them. I said, over and over again with both of them, I'm like, I'm melting down, and they would just say, Klint, just give it a few months, it's gonna be all right. And I'm like, I don't believe you, and they're like, believe us, we've had it much worse than you, so you're gonna have to. And they provided resources from their team over at their institution that we needed. I needed several times to get verification and support, and they did it free of charge, and I'm so grateful to them for their support and friendship through this as well. I'm almost done. Along this way, we needed extra emotional support, and we had several partners step in or groups that came along and said, hey, we believe in you, we're going to be here for you to support you. And I just want to let you know that Prime Sports Med came along, and that's Jacob Bauer, and he's going to provide physical therapy for our kids, and chiropractor and massage therapy for those that are in need. quick assessment for a kid that doesn't have to then go to the doctor. He can find out here maybe if something simple is going on, and we appreciate that. Ricky Bauer from the Idaho Stags, which is a huge Nampa boys club, has been solid. Colin and Jessica Grove from Idaho Premier, super grateful for their support along the way, and then Luke Miller from 2C Futsal. These folks have come in and said, hey, we're going to be here for you. We had Danny Perrine from Perrine Electricians down here in his pajamas one night, 10 o'clock, helping us with the problem we were having in the middle of the tournament. We're grateful for him and all that he did here at the construction. But the Soriano Flooring Company, they've taken care of us, worked hard, and we appreciate them. My business partner, Jason Hammer, has allowed me to be gone a lot and put a lot of stress on him, and that was important for this to happen. Oscar Williamson, my wife mentioned him earlier, he went to Seattle, hauled things down in the snow and the rain. He brokered and bartered for us, and we needed his help. We're grateful for him. The Zitgraf family was the muscle over and over again. We're grateful for them coming in and backing us up. Brent Cotter and Trevor Morris, two coaches from my sons that came along and showed me how, and Colin too, I don't know where Colin is. These guys showed me how to love a kid, and how, I mean, when you're watching your kid get coached and you're crying, and your team's getting beat, what does that tell you about the coach? We're not crying because we're sad. We're crying because we appreciate what they're doing for our boys. It's a hard job, and we appreciate them and what they're doing. Spencer Lott and his family. I had a breakfast one morning with Spencer. He probably doesn't remember it, but it was super significant to me and giving me comfort and encouragement. I love my wife, Betsy, and Kim mentioned, or somebody said something earlier. A couple months ago, she said, hey, what can I do to help you? And I realized I was not getting everything done. Terribly short. And she jumped in and she's done so much. And all it has been is every day is, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? Without her, I would be in the hospital. So I'm so grateful to her. My parents, George and Shireen Keller, are from Nampa. They're lifers. They've always seen the beauty and strength of Nampa people and taught us to appreciate and love it. All of us kids love this town. My sisters and brothers, Tiffany, Jason, thanks for coming. Others would be here, but they're in interesting situations with COVID. Not them, but people around them. And anyway, they all hope and plan on Mettle helping this town and helping the youth. Our mission is to make Nampa youth competitive in all sports. But our vision is for each child to have learned to struggle, endure, and overcome. This will require much more than a steel building with some basketball hoops, but our family's chosen to start here. Thank you for being here.